Hey, welcome to the show, friends. I'm Joe, your host, and I tell you what, I didn't sleep last night. This is gonna be a fun exchange. With just honored to be joined today by one of the most innovatively in tune leaders in higher education. Please welcome Dr. Bradley Booster, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, the learning side of the house in San Francisco Bay University. Thanks for joining us on the show, Brad.
Thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure. We've been following each other, I think, for years on social media, and it's great to be face to face.
Seriously, seriously. A Bay Area living. I just have this mindset of what, I'm a field guy, so it must feel like, and what a change from your New York days. But I didn't
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
that's kind of the origin, right? You spent some time at USC, and it's not foreign territory to you.
Right. Yeah. No, love the West Coast, all the diversity and opportunity that is out here. And the San Francisco Bay University is situated right in the middle of Silicon Valley. So just rich with opportunities for our students and our faculty.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, every time my HDL, which the doctor says is the good cholesterol, right?
Yeah.
The good stuff, it goes up, I think, at least 10 points. Every time I sneak a peek at your postings of some of that good, nutritious stuff that you're putting into you take this nutritional, eating thing to a whole nother level, my friend.
Yeah.
Has that always been your jam?
No, but for the last 15 years, I've been pretty strict. I'm a vegan, whole food, plant-based, and no salt, oil, sugar, no processed foods, which is extreme. But I feel like I really thrive when I am loyal to that way of eating.
What advantage do you not believe, do you know because you put it to the test? What advantage does that give you as a very high-ranking decision maker within a very large institution?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to quantify. I run every day, I lift weights, I'm on no medication, in my early 50s. And I feel like I'm in better shape now than I was in my 20s, just stronger, faster, sharper. It's you wouldn't put bad gas in your Ferrari, right?
Look at
So
that.
the
Folks,
f- the
he
f-
did not say that he was a Ferrari, but indirectly, we're just gonna infer that he is like a prestigious elite vehicle, doing some really important work in the Bay Area. And I just wanna just, linger in that space for a moment just to edify not only your lifestyle, but I think your profile as a leader. I work with, executive leaders in higher education in K-12, and it's sobering. I'll just be honest. I get just that pit in the tummy that says, "Oh, it's got to be hard," because many of them just don't have the energy. Many of them, because of that, have just the diminished influence.
right.
And yeah, it is. It's actually impacting the performance of our institutions when you don't have a healthy leader at the helm.
Agreed. Yeah, I think, I've been a student of presidential leadership in higher ed probably for the last 15 years, really just paying close attention. And the number of really talented, intelligent, well-meaning folks who ascend to the presidency or a provost vice president position and get either gain a bunch of weight or get sick, get cancer. I even had there was a president at Buffalo State who died less than 2 years into office.
Mm.
And it's just more and more common. My son just graduated from Temple University. They had a president die in office while he was there. And so these are stressful jobs in like unprecedented demanding times right now. And
Yeah.
so if you don't lead yourself effectively, it's going to be really difficult to take on the stress of the institution.
Well, we may have you come on. We may do like a special topics this topic only. The really just how important uh I think the three things, right? We touched on two of them. Uh Good eating and drinking
Hmm.
habits, right?
Hmm.
Moving around enough.
Yep.
But we didn't touch on the third, and maybe I can have you share a little bit the sleep thing.
Yeah,
Huh?
sleep is huge.
Yeah, are you pretty good? How's your sleep hygiene?
I'm doing my best. I've no blue light after. I don't watch TV hardly really at all, and certainly not in the afternoon. I don't drink caffeine ever. I've detoxed from caffeine. I keep it cool in the room. I spend a lot of money on the mattress, and I do the best I can. It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but it's certainly an important pillar of lifestyle medicine.
Well, folks, if you want to know what elite looks like and how to follow, I don't know if you're going to write the book, but you might be pressured to write the book on how to put all of this together because it wasn't an overnight thing. This is a literal transformation of the human body to do what it was called to do. I
Yeah.
believe that fully and just so appreciate when I see it on the other side of me. So press on, good friend.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So you've got this music background. Yeah,
Correct.
you
Yeah.
began as a music tenured professor at I don't know, someplace in the mountains. Where was that?
That was at, Montana State University in Bozeman.
My goodness, my goodness. Madison River flowing right through there.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me how that music, the early music career kind of shaped. I mean, I don't know if there's any alignment to where you're at currently, or if this is a juxtapose, that was then, this is now.
There was a transitional moment. Yeah, I mean, all I was passionate about in high school, elementary school was playing in the band and being a drummer, and I loved it. My parents supported me, and I was wanting to do it at the most elite level that I could, play in professional orchestras, which eventually I did do. Um, and when I was at USC, my professor said, "All of you doctoral students will apply for a tenure track job. Likely, none of you will get one, but this will be a fun exercise." And so I did, and I was fortunate enough to get the position at Montana State.
Wow.
And so I just really wanted to teach music and was passionate about music. And while I was there, um, I was teaching marching band. I raised a bunch of money for the marching band and took these kids most of whom have never been outside Montana to the Macy's Day Parade in 2001,
Oh my goodness.
right after 9/11. And so that was a pretty incredible experience. And then from there, I was rewarded by becoming the interim department chair. And that began a slow and steady kind of career moving into administration. I then went to Buffalo State as department chair of music. I was there for 9 years. And in that role, and then got kicked into a series of interim leadership positions in enrollment management and in the chief information officer position, eventually in the provost office. Did an ACE fellowship where I really did some soul searching to figure out what I wanted to do. Became provost at Keuka College for 6 years through the pandemic. And just last year to San Francisco Bay University as provost. And I love the work I'm doing. And so it was not really a purposeful
Yeah.
journey, Joe. It was just, doors opened. I eventually had to stop playing music because this is my full time.
Gig.
Um,
Gig.
this is my new discipline, right? And when I was playing music, that was a 50 to 70 hour a week endeavor to do it at the level I was doing it. And so I can't do both. And I wrote an article for Inside Higher Ed on kind of mourning the loss of that
Mhm.
discipline and embracing the opportunity of a new discipline. And I think a lot of academics struggle with moving to the dark side. That was the title of the article. And for me, it's been rewarding, and I've enjoyed having the opportunity to coach other really talented professors who are interested in administration, but um, feel a sense of shame or guilt in
Yeah.
giving up their discipline. And higher ed needs good leaders right now, strong leaders,
Amen.
excellent teachers in the classroom make excellent administrators. And so doing that work's really rewarding for me.
Yeah. I think the key is, I'll maybe get in trouble here, but it's staying human as you move up.
Right.
Right, and
Yeah.
I think you find so many just amazing humans doing the work in the classroom, and those that do have maybe some aspirations, like you said, you were kicked into. I thought I was going to pause it, but I'm not going to. But you were kicked into. Sometimes you have to be kicked into where you can expand your influence because the system needs more, just not just intelligent, but also emotionally astute and very self-aware and self-managed people to become leaders. I think it's the best manifestation of this word. Some say it's squishy, but it's a fighting word, love. the
Mhm.
best way to love anybody is to, as you elevate into different roles of influence, which also means power, which is wielded in a good way if if you're operating from the fighting word I call love, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
You've literally climbed every rung on the educational ladder. Professor, you said kicked into department chair, AVP, provost, um, probably even served as acting president for a small little. Right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
At Cuca,
Talk about a
president.
highlight reel. I'm
Yeah.
fascinated by some of the groundbreaking work in your cross disciplinary programming that bridges some of the traditional stuff, right? With much more of the innovation. That's kind of been your hallmark along the way. Can you share any examples of how you've successfully done that integration and brought together maybe arts and technology and maybe even the business perspectives?
Yeah, for sure. So, the general education at San Francisco Bay University is really unlike any other gen ed requirement I've seen. Um, we got the opportunity here to start from scratch. We had a blank slate, a blank canvas, with no faculty really advocating for one thing or another. And so, the gen ed here is 10 classes, no choice, all required classes, 30 credits. They all have titles that start with how to.
Hmm.
And they are all AI infused classes. So AI is not tacked on to a course as an afterthought. They were designed from the ground up with a purposeful integration of artificial intelligence. So our courses have titles like How to Tell Your Story, um, uh, how to design your personal and professional life
That's
using
fascinating.
design thinking, and we smash that up with epistemology. Um, how to communicate in a global context, how to lead, which is combines history and leadership. So you'll study great leaders throughout history, um, and you'll study the history of them, but you'll also study people like Colin Kaepernick and people
Yeah.
who are launching social movements um, in contemporary times. How to use math in real life. So that mashes up statistics, but also some sociology. Um, how to be creative in partnership with computational and machine learning. So you take the study of creativity and also large language models, and arm students with the ability to do this. So all of these classes map to the California sort of basic general education requirements, but we're not taking a disciplinary approach. To students entering higher ed now, if you look at the typical gen ed distribution, it looks a lot like what they did in high school.
Right.
You take a social science and natural science and math and writing,
Right. Right.
and it's just more of the same, and they don't understand why they're taking it. So when you make the outcomes explicit to the student, you are taking this to become a great leader. You are taking this class to learn how to storytell. You're taking this class to learn how numbers work. It immediately translates to something that is professionally useful to them. And we validated this with 45 of our neighbors around our campus, which, by the way, are like Google and Tesla and Amazon and Meta, and
Some of you may have heard about these.
the
Yeah.
biggest and the best tech companies in the
My
world
goodness.
are our neighbors, and they've all said that the skills that this curriculum will provide students are the skills that they most need in their employees. Things like tenacious leader, tech trendsetter, global navigator, somebody who understands empathy. These are the skills that people want. They don't care necessarily how much you learned about anthropology or art history. While those are
Linear learning. Yeah. The linear learning is a thing it's a bygone era. Yeah.
right, right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just so fascinated just by the how you have um, your marketing, if you just use that term, has to have meaning in order to have people leaning in,
Yeah.
right? Eh, Philosophy 101, I'm not leaning in. That that's
Right,
just
but how to lead,
right.
and let's look at Socrates and Plato and Marcus Aurelius. Sure, that I'll buy into that.
How to lead using timeless principles or, how just the whole how to. I I'm gonna tag that on you to say, I think you came up with that idea. You can say, "No, it wasn't me," but I'm gonna
It
give it
actually
to
was
you.
not me, Joe. Like we're working with some really brilliant consultants from all over the world
Yeah.
to put this curriculum together. Shout out to my colleague Tracy Clark in Texas, who was the principal architect of this. But we have subject matter experts in Hong Kong and Toronto, and pulling people out of Stanford to help us design these classes, which, by the way, are instructor agnostic. So the curriculum is so well designed. They have 100-page syllabi, and they're highly engaging classes. So the students are agents of their own learning. It is not a lecture model. We don't believe students are empty vessels into which we pour knowledge. They are up, they are doing things, and they are realizing and actuating their own learning. Yeah, right. It's
It
great.
changes the locus. The since 1096, when we learned to stand in front of students at Oxford University, right? It changes the locus of me as the instructor, as the learned one. You've
Right.
absolutely pivoted 180 to the locus is the student and the
That's it.
student. Yep.
Yeah, we're redesigning our classroom so that there is no front. We're putting screens and whiteboards on every single wall, and kind of pods and clusters of furniture so that students can work in groups. Guess what? Like they're going to do when they go to work at Google and Apple.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit in rows and be lectured at. So
Before we come in for a landing, I need to know about this challenger brand thing. I know it, those two words mean in isolation, but when it comes together, give
yeah.
give us a 2-minute overview of where did that come from and what's it doing?
Yeah, so obviously, just this one example of our general education and our teaching philosophy is it challenges the status quo in higher ed. And if you look at industry, there's lots of examples of challenger brands. If you look at Airbnb, that changes the way people travel.
Yeah.
Right. So, and
Yep.
so Airbnb is not trying to be the largest in its vertical. It's not trying to be Marriott or Hilton, but it's trying to serve a piece of the market that is either underserved or unserved by the current model. And that is what we are trying to do at San Francisco Bay University. We are not trying to be Stanford. Or Harvard or Yale or anybody else. We are trying to grab a piece of the market that right now higher ed is not serving well. If you look at the outcomes for um, first generation Pell eligible, historically underrepresented minorities, their 4-year graduation rate is somewhere around 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
And that is a clear failure of the system. We are accepting those students, we are scholarshiping those students, and we're retaining them above 90%. And we believe that the model that we have here is kind of proof of concept. The work we're doing at small scale right now is proof of concept for a better model that will have better outcomes for those students that right now are not served by the current industry. So we're a challenger brand. We are challenging, and there's a couple of others. If you think about Minerva University or New U University or BYU Idaho, Nexford University, we have some compatriots in this work who
Mhm.
are trying to intentionally do things differently. Other examples besides our innovative curriculum, 90 credit undergraduate degrees, free textbooks. Um, we've got a startup scholars program where when students graduate, we give them $10,000 and they launch their own innovative business. And we teach them how to do it along the way. So we're really taking a different approach to the typical model in higher ed. And we believe this is the way forward.
I want to go back to school. I literally just I'm gonna get a backpack and become.
We would welcome you here.
Wow.
Come hang out at San
Seriously, of
Francisco.
all places, the valley, everything that you're doing to really push against these. The tradition was beautiful, but it's no longer as practical as we need it to be. And when I find large institutions that get it, there's not a big enough billboard that we can put this message on. So appreciate. But in the same context, there's just a lot of pressure in higher ed right now for leaders to solve seemingly impossible challenges. There was a
Yeah.
point where you maybe sat down as an executive team and said, "Do you think we could do something like this?" I mean, it's our own internal belief system that oftentimes it just gets in our way. And we're watching leaders in academia that are walking both kind of weary, like they're just tired, but some
Yeah.
are some are actually weary. Like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. right?
I think it's a tough job. I really do. I think at some institutions, depending on their structures, it's mission impossible, you
That's
know?
I appreciate you saying that because I've said that before as well, and that doesn't create a victim mentality. It means that we have to just jump out and do things altogether differently,
Yeah.
which
I
means
mean,
we
we're gonna
gotta do different things.
That's right. I mean, we're witnessing a reckoning right now.
Ah, great word.
You know, one institution a week closed or consolidated in 2024, and I'm seeing estimates that that will double or triple in 2025. And so it's innovate or die right now, and it you know the folks who are willing to change will benefit, and the folks who are entrenched will suffer.
Well, there's your pep talk. I was gonna ask Professor if you had a pep talk in you, but the innovators are going to be the ones that are going to be a part of the reckoning,
I
right?
think so. And just with the caveat that, you know, everything we're doing here is not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're moving very fast, especially for higher ed. You know, at this, the agility here is just lightning fast. But if we're going to fail, we want to fail fast and move on. And we're not afraid to make mistakes. We've got a decent financial runway at SFBU that allows us to kind of take some risks,
Awesome.
and we're doing it. So I don't want to put it out there that we have all the answers and you know we're the way of the future, but um we know that the current model is not serving students, and we think we've got some things that are will do a better job of really putting the student at the center.
Mm, mm. I'm hearing a very large because statement. You've got a mission statement there, but I think you're living the because statement, which is when the mission statement is read, it's because our students deserve it, right?
Right, yeah, we're failing our students if we
Our
don't. Yeah,
community deserves it as well. So that's our equity lens of doggone it. Let's get moving, and we got to run fast because our students need to be able to, or we got to catch up to our students. That's the
absolutely,
reality. That
for sure.
the Bay Area innovator folks, Dr. Bradley, thanks for showing up. Just what thoughtful leadership looks like in today's complex, highly changing landscape. Any last words before we click off here?
No, I appreciate you, the work you do. I want to thank you. This was therapeutic for me. You can send your bill to Blue Cross Blue Shield. It was great to talk with you and your audience. And you know, on behalf of really all of higher ed, we appreciate your work to continue developing leaders because it's desperately needed.
You are so kind. Thanks for joining us again today. And it's been the show reminding you that everyone deserves to live in a community served by healthy people. And I can't think of you're now the standard that's going to be on your license plate. I've got people working on it right now. If, maybe you don't drive because you're also like environmentally.
I don't drive much. Yeah.
Oh, see, I I would just feel bad hanging out with you because I'm so low on that rung. But
No,
thanks for joining
fine.
us. Yeah, this has been just amazing. So until next time, folks, we've got a number of clips here, and guaranteed we're going to be bringing this gentleman back on the show. So peace and press on, folks.